and happy Wednesday. Welcome to Insights with Ivanna, a weekly broadcast designed to help you identify, embrace, and live more fully in your genius by illuminating important pieces of information you actually already possess. I think we're still live. I got an error message. I hope we are. Please say hi if you're here, because tonight we're going to begin a new series on limiting beliefs. So there are so many paths that we can take that I haven't determined the number of episodes for this topic yet. So again, please say hi if you are here. I'm Ivanna, the founder and chief Luminary officer of Luminary Insights, an intuitive life coaching brand, and I'm excited to begin exploring limiting beliefs with you all tonight. Hi, Jody. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. So, and Krista's here. Yay! Welcome, Krista. So like I said in the announcement or the advertisement, I asked, what are they? What are limiting beliefs? Well, there's a lot of different ways that they're defined, and I've kind of put them together into my own definition. And the first thing to be aware of is that limiting beliefs are false beliefs. And they're beliefs that are often formed all the way back in childhood. And they had a purpose. They were there to help us cope with dangerous things or uncertainties. But the bottom line is they hold us back and they keep us from becoming our best selves, or what I like to call the golden version of ourselves. So when I say limiting beliefs, something that holds you back, does anything jump to your mind? Type it in the chat box if something jumps to your mind when I say limiting beliefs. So you might be aware of some of your limiting beliefs, but others may be hidden. There are things that happen over and over in your life. You don't know why. Those are those hidden beliefs. And illuminating those beliefs actually helps us overcome them. You kind of have to know they're there in order to do something about them. I do talk about some of my limiting beliefs and some of the processes that I use to identify them and to overcome them in Women Who Shine. So if you haven't already had a chance to read, I would love for you to pick it up. So the limiting beliefs for me, one of the first one that comes to my mind is related to money. And I've done some work on my money relationship and I am in a much better place. But I am notorious for telling myself that I can't afford something. It doesn't matter if the money's in the bank or not. In my mind, I can't afford it. And one example that comes to my mind is traveling internationally. So when I was younger, I traveled all over the world. But as I got married, had kids, settled down, I quit traveling. Even before the pandemic, I had been stateside for quite some time, really due to this limiting belief. So again, whether the funds were there or not, it wasn't the issue. It was the belief in my brain. So then my oldest boy moved to Japan, and I decided, hey, I want to go. Before I could, he left, but my youngest moved there too, and so I was determined I'm going to Japan. Then my son got a Japanese girlfriend who's now his wife, and so there was no stopping me. I went to Japan. So what changed? Did my situation change? No. My belief changed. I was able to override that limiting belief, and off I went. It also wasn't that easy because there was another limiting belief. I'm slightly a workaholic, as some of you know, and I told myself there is no way I can leave work for 5 weeks, right? The world's going to fall apart. This other limiting belief. Well, guess what? The company didn't fall apart. I didn't fall apart. I left. I went to Japan for 5 weeks and barely looked at anything related to work. And to top it all off, I ended up only paying for 2 nights in a hotel in 5 weeks. Just call me a manifesting mama. It was amazing. I'll tell you more about it someday if you want to know. But that limiting belief for me about not being able to afford something. So I want you to take just a few seconds, maybe even 30 seconds, and think of something that you believe you cannot do. So it could be something like, I can't afford to travel. I can't do the splits. I can't hit the bullseye in a shooting target, or I can't keep the weight off. I can't go to the moon. I mean, you can be crazy wild. You can be realistic. I can't read that book. I can't go to the gym. So take a few seconds if you've got a place to write or type. Make a list. If not, just get it in your mind. What are some things that you can't do? Okay, Jody's got, I can't afford it. I'm not healthy enough. All right, so keep a couple of those things in your mind. Let's see if anybody else wants to list anything before we go on, because I am going to ask you to come back to that list and do a few things with it. So my own negative self-talk telling me lots of negative things you would never say to your friend, right? So why do we say it to ourselves? How did you know I couldn't do the splits? Maybe we can work on that one together. So these things that you can't do, what I want you to do now that you've talked about things you can't do, and if you can add more to your list as you go, but look at that list and ask yourself, do I want to do these things? So just kind of mentally image, block them out, or put an X beside the things you do not want to do. So I don't want to go to the moon, just like I don't want to scuba dive in a tunnel. I don't want to do that. I don't want to shoot a bullseye. I hate firing ranges. I found out the hard way after getting really nauseous and sweaty that I'm a one-eyed shooter, and then I ended up shooting out the light. We won't tell you any more about my experience with guns, but I don't want to shoot a bullseye. So those are things I don't want to do. I'm just going to mark them off my list. And I ask myself, are these things I can't do? Are they things that in reality I just don't want to do? Or maybe someone told me I shouldn't do it or couldn't do it. All of this feeds into these limiting beliefs. So the things that you wrote or the things that you thought about, what are the things you just don't want to do? Just mark them off your list. Because what I want to do next is look at the things that are left on your list. Things that you can't do yet. And pick one or maybe two that you really would like to do. And then we're going to get really wild. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to brainstorm. No matter how unrealistic it is, what could you do to help yourself actually be able to do this thing that you chose? Jody says we need splits class, apparently. We are also guilty of saying things to ourselves we would never say to a friend. Absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, when I think about the things that were on that list I gave you, something that I can brainstorm, how could I get there? Maybe I still don't think I could do it, but how could I get there? I started with, I really want to lose weight and I want to keep it off, but I'm going to try something that's a little less daunting first. And I went, whoa, is that a strong limiting belief or what? That I don't even want to attempt that yet because my limiting belief and my experience in the past is so strong that I can get it off but can't keep it off that I don't even want to go there yet. We're going to keep working on that. So what I did decide to work on, ladies, is the splits. I do want to do the splits. I've thought about it so many times and I just let it go because I'm like, I can't do the splits, right? So when I brainstormed, what could I do? If I really decided I wanted to do the splits, what could I do? Well, I could stretch more. I could get this app that I saw that helps you do a little bit each day. I could lose weight, right? So there are different things I could do that could help me move toward doing this thing that I can't do, but that I want to do. Hey, Karen and Christina, I'm so glad you're here. I'm not sure where you came in, but we're talking about limiting beliefs. And what I asked you guys to do was come up with a list of several things that you cannot do. Anything that you can't do. So my list, let me go back up to my list, was I can't do the splits, I can't afford to travel, I can't hit a bullseye, I can't keep the weight off, I can't go to the moon. So some of the things I didn't want to do is I didn't want to hit a bullseye, I didn't want to go to the moon. So I just knocked them off my list. But then I look at the list and I say, what is something that I can't do or believe I can't do that I'd kind of like to do? And that's the splits. Right? So I'm brainstorming, what are some things I might be able to do? I might be able to stretch more, lose weight, get the app. I had a real smart comment written in my notes originally about I could ask my husband to, and then I deleted it, but now I said it, so never mind. Anyway, what is something with the one you picked? What could you brainstorm that you might be able to do to move you into the place where it's not a can't, but it's, oh, I'm working on it, or I can. So anything that you wrote, if anybody put anything down there from one of your I can'ts that you'd like to do, what are some brainstorms? They could be totally off the wall. Like I could go suspend myself in midair. I could hire a trainer. There's all sorts of crazy things we could do, but just brainstorm. What could you do with that can't to help get rid of your limiting belief? Let's see if anybody's got any answers. What did you pick and what was your brainstorm? And it's okay if you don't want to share. While you're working on it, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the next step. The next step is to pick one thing from that brainstorm, one thing from that list that you might be willing to think about trying. And so some of you may know this already, but did you know that if you take an even 1% more responsibility for what you do, you can completely change your life and steer it in a different direction. You've probably heard stories about airplanes, that an airplane, if it's even 1 degree off of its course, it can end up hundreds of miles away from its original destination. It can even end up in a completely different country. It doesn't take that much, but it does take action. So let's see what Jody wrote. Continuing to work on increasing physical activity as my body allows, and also follow up on health issues. Okay, so did you brainstorm some ways that you can do that? How can you increase physical activity? You don't have to write it, but just brainstorm in your mind, how can you increase physical activity? I know one of the things you've done that you told me about was you walk the dogs more. So that's one way you could increase physical activity. So I'm going to ask you to pick one thing from that list and think about what you can do. So I picked doing the splits, and the one thing from my brainstorm that I picked is I'm going to find that app, and I'm going to get that app. Right? I'm going to get the app. I'm going to use it. I guess I should write that down there too. I'm going to get the app, and I'm actually going to try this approach of little by little being able to stretch more and go into the splits. So my question for you now is, pick one of the things you chose to do, pick one of the items from the brainstorm, and then ask yourself, are you willing to try it? Right? I've decided I'm willing to try it because I feel that I'm a little more motivated to try it. It's been in the back of my mind. It keeps coming up. I feel a little more motivated to try it because it feels more doable when I break it down into possible steps with the support of that app. So how do you feel about your pick? And are you willing to try it? Yes or no? And then ask yourself why you said yes or why you said no. I still don't know that I can do the splits, but I said yes because it keeps coming back to me, and so I think I should pay attention to it, and I think I should try it. So anybody want to share one thing they picked and one action? Remember, it doesn't take a lot, but it takes action. Krista says, limiting belief. I would not be totally self-sufficient if it didn't hit the fan in this crazy world, such as killing a living animal in order to eat. What I could do is become a vegetarian and have a garden. Yes, I would try it. No, that's not negative at all. It's reality. That's just it. You know, when we judge ourselves or judge things as negative or positive, that sends us into that whole spiral as well. You've probably heard the story. I've heard it several different ways, but I love the story, and this isn't in the script, but we're going to go there. I love the story about the man who had an old horse. And everybody in the village was like, oh, this poor old man, all he has is this old horse. That's so terrible. And he said, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is. Well, then the horse ran away, and everybody was like, oh, that's so terrible, that's even more terrible, you lost your only horse. And he said the same thing, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is. Well, then the horse came back, and it brought 5 wild stallions with it. And everybody in the village said, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. And he said, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is. I hope I'm not boring you if you've heard this before. So then his son goes out and tries to break the stallions and so that they can be ridden and they can be used as workhorses, and he falls and he breaks his leg. And everybody in the village, as you can imagine, says, oh, how terrible. And the man says, not bad, not good, just is. Well, then the country goes to war, and all the young men have to go off to war. But this young man doesn't have to go because he broke his leg. And all the people in the village said, how wonderful. And the man says, not bad, not good, just is. And if you've ever done the Course in Miracles, one of the things in the Course in Miracles is I don't know what anything means. Because there are so many pieces of the puzzle we're not privy to. You know, the Bible even says all things work for good. And it may seem terrible in the moment, but who knows what it's going to be used for later. So that's my little tangent on what's good, what's bad. It just is. And when we are able to step back, and by golly, I can't do it all the time, trust me, when we are able to step back from judging something as bad or good, we open up so many more possibilities, and that helps us with our limiting beliefs. Think about people. If you think somebody is a bad person, you've automatically put a limiting belief on who they are, what they can do, where they can go, how they can change. And so there's a whole nother series we can do on judgment and getting out of judgment. So thank you, Krista, for sending me down that path. So Judy said yes because I want and need to improve my health. So she said yes. So if you picked something and you said no, let's use my example. My first thought was, well, a very important thing to me is I want to lose the weight and keep it off. I can lose 50 pounds. I can keep it off over a year. But up until now, I've not been successful at keeping it off long term. And so I immediately, when I saw that on my list, thought, oh, that'd be a good one to do, but I'm not ready to go there. That is a strong limiting belief. So I said, well, let me do something that's not as strong, be successful, and then move on to the next one. And that's okay too. That's okay too. So just so you know, I'm the one standing up here talking about it, but I'm still working on a lot of these things myself. All right, so just a few more thoughts. That so much of what we cannot do is what we don't want to do. And I even think about like, oh, let's go to the park this Saturday. Oh, well, I can't go. I don't have time. No, it's I don't want to go, or I would make time, right? Just like going to Japan. I made the time. I made sure I had the money. Maybe we've been told we can't do it. Maybe we're afraid of something. And often what we're afraid of is actually succeeding. Because when we succeed, we shine. And when we shine, people are jealous. And when people are jealous, you know how that story goes. So limiting beliefs are just beliefs. And almost all the time, they are fake. So let me give you an example. I've mentioned spoon bending a few times. I really, the first time I heard about it, thought, yeah, right. There's no way I could do that. I got a fork out. I got a spoon out. I tried to bend it. Tried with all my might. It wouldn't go. But when I became open to the possibility, look what happened. Here's my fork. This is not, if you can see it, this is not a thin piece of metal at all by any means. This is not a thin piece of metal. So my next goal is an even thicker one. There you go. I'll keep you posted on how that goes with my spoon bending. But a lot of that is tied to limiting beliefs. We can do amazing miracles when we let go of our beliefs. All right, so there are a lot of things. Yay, spoon bending. Never thought I could do it either. Oh my gosh, Chrissy, you're gonna have to send pictures. I can put them up on the or attach them to the website. We'll show some of the things you were able to do. But it's not about what I did or didn't do. It's about letting go of a belief. Have you ever heard that way back in the day, they thought that trains couldn't go any faster? I didn't get to look it up and find what it was. Like trains couldn't go faster than 20 miles an hour because they were afraid people would explode. And then somebody built a train that went faster, and guess what? People didn't explode. And now look at the bullet trains and how fast they go. And we don't explode, and we fly. And so people say we can't do something until it's done. And then someone else tops it and tops it again. Look at like the records for how fast someone can run. So those limiting beliefs can impact every area of our lives. Physically, relationship, financial, like I mentioned earlier, spiritually. So we're going to explore all of those things. And we'll explore a bunch of different topics. You guys gave me some in the last 2 episodes about not being worthy, can't keep money, always have bad relationships, I can't keep happiness, I'm flawed, I'm not good enough, all those kinds of things. So we're going to explore a bunch of those different things over the next, I don't know how many weeks. We'll see how it goes. Yes, Jody, please say hi if you are here. So what I'd like to do for the last part of tonight's broadcast, and it's going to be logistically interesting because I need to stand up and talk at the same time and look at you. I want to do an exercise. I think I mentioned before that I am a Jack Canfield certified trainer. And this is an activity that I learned through Jack Canfield. And so I'm going to be very interested to see how it works with you. And let's see if I can get set up so that you can see what you need to see. So let me tell you what I'm going to do first. I'll show you, and then I will actually have you do it with me. All right. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to lift your arm. I'm going to lift my left arm, and I'm actually going to turn to the side because I want you to see where my arm goes. So I'm going to lift my left arm up. Can you guys see it? Yeah, there. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to keep my feet planted firmly. Hopefully you can still hear me. Keep my feet planted firmly about hips width. And then I am going to turn my arm and my body, not my feet, as far as I can go. Now, once I've gone as far as I can go, I'm pushing it as far as I can go, I'm going to sort of take a snapshot. So for right now, my hand is right where the pane is in the window, the wooden part of the pane in the window. And I'm going to look to the left and I'll say, okay, there's another pane, or there's a tree in the middle, there's a screen. I know exactly what's there, kind of take a snapshot in my mind, and then I'm going to bring my arm back and bring it down. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Keeping your feet planted, do not pivot your feet. You want to be like you've got a laser beam pointing out of your arm when you get to that spot, and really just visualize where is your hand now, what's around it, especially what's to the left. All right, so you're probably going to need to stand up, and we're going to do something that will give you an opportunity to transcend the current level of your production and effectiveness in life as we mess around with your limiting beliefs. All right, hopefully you're ready, and hopefully you're standing up. We're going to do exactly what I did. You're going to hold your arm out. You can do left or right, and then make sure your feet are about hips width apart, and then you're going to turn. Make sure you're not going across your body. You're going out, and go as far as you can. Really, like, twist your body. Go as far as you think you can. If I said, okay, if I gave you $1 million, could you go any further? You wouldn't be able to go any further. And really get that laser beam out of your finger. Look at something on the wall, something around you. Where is your hand now? Exactly where is it? And what is to the left of it? So when you've got that image, you're going to bring your arm back and bring it down. I practiced this a couple times a day today. My shoulder's getting sore. All right, now what you're going to do, you can sit down for a moment, but make sure you come back to exactly the same spot. So you can just keep standing there if you want. But what I want you to do is close your eyes. Now with your eyes closed, you are going to imagine that you are lifting your arm again. Now that your arm is lifted, you're going to imagine turning again. You took that snapshot. What do you see? So for me, I saw the wooden part of my window. That's where my fingers were. So I'm going to visualize exactly where my hand is. Now I remember that a little ways over was a tree to the left. So I'm going to visualize my arm now, my fingers now pointing at that tree. My arm, I've twisted more. And after that tree, there was another piece of wood, and I'm going to visualize, hey sister, I'm going to visualize now that my hand is actually, oh, I didn't bring it down. My hand is actually pointing at that second piece of wood. So in my mind, my arm, my body has now twisted another 6 inches. No effort, no pain. I just went further. So get that picture in your mind. And then in your mind, remember your body's not moving right now. In your mind, bring your arm back around to the front and bring it down. All right, we're going to do that one more time in your mind. In your mind, bring your arm up. And now this time when you turn, visualize turning as far as you did last time. So when I visualize now, I'm turning, and the laser beam coming out of my fingers is now pointing at that second piece of wood on my windowsill, about 6 inches further than I was able to go a minute ago. So as you visualize it, just like we've done in our other visualizations, make it real. See the colors, hear the birds singing, see what's around it, get that feeling. Again, you're not pushing, straining in your visualization. You're just very easily moving to this farther point. Once you've got that settled in your mind, bring visually, in your vision, bring your arm back around to the front of your body and drop it down. All that's been visualization. All right, so now we're going to do it one more time. Sorry for the hand. I'm going to put it back up again. Make sure you're standing where you were before, same way we did before. And for me, when I do it the second time, I like to close my eyes. And as I bring my arm out, I visualize exactly what I saw in my visualization. And then I open my eyes, and oh my gosh, I don't know if you can tell from the last one, there I am. I am 6 inches further than I was the last time. And I promise you, I pushed it as far as I could go when I did it the first time. So, I'd love to hear from any of you. Were you able to go farther? Were you able to go farther? It never ceases to amaze me. I've done this so many times, and for me, it works every time. I end up going farther than I physically could go. Same idea as with this fork. I wasn't able to bend the fork when I looked at the fork and tried to bend it. But when I was able to visualize bending it, when I was able to put myself almost in a different state, I was able to bend the fork. So Jody said, so cool. Does that mean you were able to go farther, Jody? Were you able to go farther? Krista said much farther. Yes. It's so exciting. I've got all sorts of things like this that we're going to do over the next few weeks to help us see how we're kind of in the twilight zone, and how even though physically we could not have gone farther, even for $1 million, we have these unknown limiting beliefs, and we have so much more power than we realize we do. This power to visualize. I talked about manifesting in Japan. I paid for 2 nights in a hotel out of 5 weeks. My son ended up moving over to his girlfriend's family's house, and I had his apartment to myself the whole time I was in Japan. That was not planned. That was never discussed. We just had not booked a hotel yet until we figured out what we were going to do and how much we were going to travel. Talk about manifesting. And I had the money in the bank to do it if I'd had to pay for it. So, wow, that limiting belief. The limiting beliefs, we can overcome them. So next week we're going to continue with the limiting beliefs. Well, we're going to continue overcoming them. So I do hope that you will join me. Let's see, Jody says, was commenting about you. Didn't attempt tonight due to my leg. Oh yeah. It was amazing for me. Again, I've done this before, and it still blows my mind every single time. And so will some of the other things that we're going to do. So, trying to keep within my 30 minutes. We've got a few more minutes. If anyone else has a comment about the limiting beliefs that came to your mind when we started talking about limiting beliefs, the limiting belief that you maybe chose, that you wanted to work on, and what you're going to do to work on it. Sounds like we need to have a party with all of us learning to do the splits. It's going to be interesting. I got to find that app. When I find the app, I'll put the information in the chat. It keeps popping up on my phone, and when it does pop up, or I'll see these little advertisements on the phone, I'm like, that's kind of cool. I kind of want to do that. And so doing this broadcast actually pushed me to that point where it was like, okay, I don't think I can do that. Let's find out. So if you do decide that you'd like to go deeper into any of this work with limiting beliefs than we're able to do on the broadcast, just fill out the Let's Talk form on my luminaryinsights.com, and we can certainly talk about how we can go deeper. Let's see if I can beat Jody. She's so good at getting that link in there. So please do share this broadcast with your friends, with your enemies, with anybody that you think might have limiting beliefs, which is all of us. And let's work on getting rid of them together. You can also email me, Ivanna, Ivanna, at myluminaryinsights.com. Let's see if there are any more comments. I won tonight. Okay, I won tonight. All right, well, thank you guys so much. It's great having you here. I hope you enjoy the different ways that I do the broadcasts on different times. Last week was hard for me to end so quietly and not get to say bye to you guys, but I hope that you benefited from the meditations in the last series and that you're using some of those things. And until next week, absolutely. Thank you guys. Have a great night. And thank you, Rhonda, my sister, for joining us. Bye.